Hello and welcome back to Let's Get Wicked, the podcast where we talk about nothing but the wonderful tabletop game Disney Villainous and how wonderful it is. I'm your host, Joker Jonesy here, and today we have a very interesting show. One of the first parts that makes this interesting is that we actually have three brand new people joining me today on the show. So I'm going to have them all introduce themselves. I'm going to introduce them one at a time. And then we're going to get started with our topic and some other housekeeping stuff. So our first new friend is Hatzer. Madness Hatzer. I always want to say Madness Hatter, but it's Hatzer. Hello, friend.
Hatzer, because when I was doing my username for something else, Mad Hatter was taken, so I just dodged up the spelling, and that works for usernames. I've been a huge fan of Disney. I've been a massive board gamer. I'm surrounded by board games, but what's really made me love this game is the Disney theme itself. I'm really into musicals as well, and yeah, I've got a blog that I've started on Villainous.
Oh, really? What's that blog? What's that blog called? Where can we find that blog?
That blog is simply villainous and atrocious, all one word.
Oh, nice.
.games.blog.
Well, awesome. Well, that's cool. We got some more content creators out there. I appreciate that. I'm glad you love the game enough that you want to do a blog. It's always cool. Let me know after the show. I want to go put that in the comments so people can go check that out. Our next guest is another one of my new tabletop simulator partners in crime, I would say, is Aaron with an A. Hello, Aaron. How are you?
Hi. Yeah, Aaron B. That's me.
Yeah.
So you wanted to know what we liked about Disney Villainous.
Yes, that is correct.
Just like Madness, it's got Disney on it. That'll grab me. I actually tried to get it for my mom, then turned it around, looked at the instructions, and like, no, this isn't a game for my mom, but I might like it.
That's funny. Wow, that's an interesting turn of events right there, to get something for your parent, and then like all of a sudden you're like, wow, this seems way too complicated. I'll just buy it for myself, and then oh wow, this is actually great. I've done that before.
It just didn't. More in love with Disney than I am, and I thought for Christmas, sure, no problem. Turned it over, read the instructions. No.
Yeah, no, I get that. And then at the end of the day, when you start playing, you're like, oh, this isn't that bad. Probably shouldn't give it to your parent, though. I tried to play this game with my dad. He was Prince John. Still was a little rough. And he plays lots of board games, so I understand that completely.
Right.
But anyway,
even the love of Disney hasn't helped her out.
Oh,
but she'll watch us play.
Yeah, that stinks. Now our last guest here has probably one of the most interesting names that we've had in a long time. His name is Secret Lawyer Man.
Hello.
Hello, Secret Lawyer Man. So, as the joke I said earlier before we started the show, you do chef work on your day job, right?
Right, completely.
Yeah,
that's
so
exactly what I do.
You serve lots of people. You talk to lots of people while serving them. Isn't that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yes. Well, what got you in the Disney Villainous, though, besides trying to be a secret chef man?
Well, I kept seeing the game in Barnes & Noble, and I'm like, should I get this? Then I kept going back and forth for probably about 3 months until I finally bought it and became obsessed with it pretty much instantly.
I know
bought all three sets pretty much at the same time. Evil Comes Prepared wasn't quite out at that time, but I did pre-order it.
Well, you and I basically have the same story then, almost. Like,
yeah.
Like as I've told on the show, the way it goes is that I saw Evil Comes Prepared have Scar, and I was just like, all right, you guys got me interested. I bought all the original stuff, and then I was like, all right, pre-ordering Evil Comes Prepared. That's it. Set sail. But yeah. All right, friends. So, welcome back to our show here. I do have a few housekeeping things I need to do. The first thing is probably the thing that maybe some of you are just going to dip out of the show after we get done with this portion, is the giveaway. If you remember from our last show, we I announced that we were doing a giveaway, and it was Perfectly Wretched giveaway hashtag as a comment on our YouTube video. I am now going to actually announce live who the winner is right now as it picks. We have a Stephen C. Stephen C., I will be contacting you, my friend. I'm going to get your information right here. I'm going to go contact you, make sure that you meet all the requirements that we're looking for to send away you're going to be able to get your free copy of Perfectly Wretched. So awesome for you. But I'll be contacting you shortly. So stick around and you will know what's going on. So there we have it. That was our first giveaway. Now, we do have one more giveaway that we're going to be doing this month. So we're going to be doing this again. So our next show, same rules apply. This giveaway will come after the release of Perfectly Wretched, so don't be expecting an early copy. But you will be getting a free copy from Ravensburger, so you can thank them for doing this. In the next one, so we're going to be doing hashtag Perfectly Wretched giveaway dose. So that is going to be the comment that you need to put into the YouTube video. And then we'll do the same raffle next time we do a show. We're going to get that all started. So awesome. Glad we'll be able to give stuff away. Thank you, Ravensburger, once again. Now, our last and our quick housekeeping thing. I won't try to go too long on this because no one likes to talk about money. But so one of the things I've been asked a lot with our friends on the comments as well as our friends in the Discord is actually getting the show onto actual podcast services. I would love to do that, but that is actually quite a financial investment. For those of you who actually do podcasting for a living or understand how it works, it's not necessarily a lot of money, but without any real return to benefit from it, there's not really a reason for me to be spending a lot of money to try to get an RSS feed and try to put this on a bunch of podcast services. So what I would like to do is start a Patreon, but I don't want to start one yet. The reason for that is I want you folks to give me feedback about what you would like to see, how much you'd be willing to put down for, some patron goals or maybe some exclusive stuff that I can do. This is not anything to basically like quit my day job because I also love my day job. I teach for a living. Teaching is probably one of the most pride and joys I get out of my life besides playing this game and my girlfriend for that matter. But I do want to be able to try to get the show out on as much platforms as possible, and the Patreon would be a cool way of doing it, as well as be able to give you folks something back in return for supporting the show. So, like I said, not starting it yet, but if you folks do have some comments that you would like to see in terms of like some goals or some rewards, please let me know. I honestly do not know what to do, so that's why I'm asking you folks that listen to the show. Give me some feedback. So, all right, enough of the housekeeping stuff. Are you folks ready to talk about this nonsense that we're going to be talking about tonight?
Oh, yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
You guys are ready? So what we're going to be talking about tonight, everybody, those of you listening, is that we're talking about our little friend Ursula. Ursula has been a hot topic these past few weeks on our Discord channel. And, let me give a quick reason why we're talking about it tonight. So Ursula, I think all of us right now can agree, at least in this group of folks, that Ursula is probably the hardest character to play in the game. B, not a fun character to play. And in B, we have two subcategories. You got your bullet points. And then those 2 bullet points are she can fate spam pretty hard and pretty easily. And B, she's just not fun to play. Her mechanics are just not great. So now, before we do get into more of the nitty-gritty, we do want to talk some positives. Our friend Madness Hatzer actually mentioned this before we started the show. We should talk some things that we like about playing with Ursula. So I'm actually going to start off with Madness here. Tell me at least one thing that you like about playing with Ursula.
Yes, this suggestion was mostly so I can say that her mover is amazing.
It is a good mover. I do agree with this.
It is chunky. It is heavy. It is perfectly
It feels like
designed.
Ursula. That's right.
It is as good as her gameplay isn't.
Sad
And
face.
it's purple. Everyone loves purple.
Yeah, purple.
Yes.
She is probably one of the better movers, I would say, in the game. Like one of the better looking ones. I would say so. Aaron, what do you have to say nice about Ursula?
She's a good female villain representative. Loved The Little Mermaid. I I want to reach for it. I want to reach for it and play, but I don't know.
I agree.
You know,
I feel like, yeah, I feel it too. Aaron watched me suffer a few days ago playing Ursula for what? How many games in a row? 4? It was like 4 games.
It was hard. I felt so bad for
you. It was rough. No, I feel the reaching. I feel it.
You trudged through the seaweed trying to figure her out.
I trudged very hard. It was rough. Now, our secret lawyer friend. What is one thing that you do enjoy about our friend the Sea Witch?
I'm probably alone in this, but I actually do like the changing lock and the binding contracts. I don't think those are the root of the problem. I think there are some other issues that we'll talk about later that prevent them from being as enjoyable as they can be.
Yeah.
I half agree with that.
Yeah.
I we'll discuss that further, but I half agree with that.
I think what I would say my favorite part, so I am also a Little Mermaid fan. Of all the Disney princesses like that we know and love. Like, I mean, I don't really like the Disney princesses that much personally within the Disney lore, but like of all of them, Ariel's my favorite, and it's because the movie's great. I think the characters are fantastic. I think Ursula's a great villain. And in terms of her gameplay, I think the binding contract mechanic I think is really clever. I think that's really fun. It does make some interesting twists and turns that, you know, if you've played the game before, it puts the whole vanquishing a hero thing on its head. And I think it's very well done, but some of it's also not so great. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into this. So we're going to split our show into 2 halves essentially right here. So our first half is going to be talking about basically what the Ursula right now without being changed. Like, what are the strategies we've kind of been discovering? You know, like, what is kind of the root of the or a little bit of the root of the problem, and like ways we've been trying to find around those issues, but have been struggling to do. Because one of the things that I've been talking about a lot in terms of the Discord and like my friends, and also on the podcast a little bit, is what makes this game magical is that every character has like a different way to get to their objective. I call it the route system, where it's like there's usually 2 or 3 very distinct ways of trying to get to your goal, and Ursula doesn't really have that, at least easily. So that's kind of my biggest thing, trying to figure that out. I'll let you folks kind of go ahead and start talking about your strategies and such. Just go for it. Lay it down.
Well, okay. So right out of the box, rules as written. You need the crown, you need the trident, and you need a contract and some way of moving Triton. Right. All the pieces are there, and I mean, you can sort of, I don't know, manage your heroes if they get out there, but then it gets tricky. So you're right, there is kind of only one route to victory.
Yeah. I think because what we've been discussing is that, so how Ursula works is that, yes, you have to have the trident, the crown at Ursula's lair at the start of your turn. And the way that it works is that the crown can be basically played immediately there, but also the issue is the trident summons King Triton. Triton gets attached to, or the Triton and trident. Words are hard. They have to be attached. It has to be attached to Triton. And then you have to defeat Triton, and then the item gets placed below the location, and then you have to make sure that item still gets to that said location. Now that sounds simpler, it's a lot more difficult than it sounds, because it sounds simple by default, but there's a lot of things that are getting in the way. I would say right now it's the lock token. I would assume our friend Secret Lawyer Man, I know he loves the lock token, but I feel like it's one of her biggest hindrances. Why do you like the lock token, my friend?
I like how it fits into Ursula's kind of story in the movie.
Yeah, is that really it?
Well, I just think it's different, a different take on the usual lock token, rather than
it's true
having to take taking it off, it stays on.
Yeah.
Yeah. To go on that, I don't mind it as a thematic sort of thing. I dislike how it sort of interact or hinders the binding contract system. So, like, she's got these two neat gimmicks. A, she's got the binding contract, and B, she's got the moving lock token. But the problem is they don't really work together.
Yeah.
Because, it's like your whole point is you're defeating them by moving them, but there's always... So you've got six binding contracts, which are your way of vanquishing. That's one more than there are take a bite, for example, in Evil Queen's deck. But A, it's not as instant as Evil Queen. B, it's you have to have the right, to some extent, the right binding contract, because you can't play it to the same location as a character that's already there.
Yes, that makes it harder.
Yeah, it makes it very
and then you've got the lock token, which means that at any one time, one of your binding contracts cannot be used, essentially.
Right.
For its purpose of defeating. Like, you can still put it on, but...
Yeah, I think one of my biggest things that really hurts me with Ursula is that, so like most of the time with the lock token with all the characters is that, so like with Hook, Jafar, Evil Queen, all those characters, once you meet the criteria to get rid of the lock token goes away. It opens up a new location that you can move to, and usually it has something to do with trying to accomplish your goal. So like with Evil Queen, it opens up the ability for you to go murder Snow White. Jafar allows you to go play the lamp. Hook, it basically allows you to start interacting with Peter Pan on the board.
You know what it also does?
What?
It opens up a place for like heroes to go.
Right.
When there's a moving lock token, there's only like 3 places they can put heroes. I never thought about that before either.
Yeah, because one of the things I've noticed when I was playing Ursula a lot is that since you have only... Because for those of you who don't understand, with the lock token on a location, no player can interact with that location unless like there's some unique instances with like Peter Pan and Snow White. But like a Fate player can't play cards on that location. So what happens is that with someone fading Ursula, they can stack heroes on top of one location. So even if you manage to destroy one of them, there's one still on the location that's blocking actions. And Ursula, probably more than anybody, needs to be able to perform actions to make or meet her goal. She has struggles with that so hard because as soon as you start piling up heroes on her locations, she can't defeat things fast enough to make sure she can open those locations back up to try to advance forward. I think that's one of the biggest things I've noticed. I don't know about you.
One of the other issues is, like, I've seen some people say on the Discord that, oh yeah, I just play without ever bothering with the lock token. I only move it back when Grimsby comes out, and to that it's like, well, what's the point of the lock token if people aren't even going to really want to interact with it? Because unlike all the other characters with lock tokens, getting rid of, or in this case, moving the lock token, actually, in a sense, moves you away from your goal because you're locking up the layer, which is where you need to have the items.
Right.
That's very unintuitive, particularly to a new player as well. Sort of going, oh, well, why would I want to lock up the layer? Like, I'll do it because that seems to be what the character wants me to do, but I don't know why I would.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I think so. What the issue, because the issue is that, so obviously, as our friend Madness has said, when you move the lock token, so you move it to the shore, which is the palace, which is the most right one, or you move it back to Ursula's lair, which is the most left one. And obviously, you need the items on the lair to make this goal even work. And if you put it on the lair, guess what? You can't move the Triton over there. You can't move your crown if you play it, or you can't play it to that location, which requires you to move it there. And the thing, too, is that with the palace contract, or the location, you can't play a card. It allows you to move heroes, it allows you to move an item, gain 2 power, and then fate somebody. It is the only place in the entirety of the existence of the game where you cannot actually play a card, which I think is probably the biggest issue with that space.
Not even that, but you can't even get rid of cards. Like there's no
No
discard.
discard either.
So you're because for a character that is a lot of like Jafar, where it's all about digging through to get the right cards and then playing the right cards and dealing with problems when they come up. Going to the palace means, I'm just going to choose not to make any progress on this at all. In order to do some all right actions.
Yeah, I think because the thing is, so like with the way the binding contracts work, you place them on a character, and when they move to that location, they're defeated. So the only purpose of really moving to the palace right now is you can move a character with a binding contract to to like the adjacent location. Hopefully that's the location you want to defeat them at, and they're defeated. But that's not even a guarantee half the time. And then with the move an item, there's no real point of doing that because the lair's locked. So the location you need to move the item to, you can't interact with that. So there's no point of trying to, do anything.
Yeah. The reason that's there is so that if you do have Ursula's lair locked, and then the Little Mermaid moves an item into the palace for whatever reason, because that could technically happen.
Yeah, that's true.
The move item ally thing is so that then once you've gotten rid of the Little Mermaid, you actually are able to move
the item out.
Move the item back out of the palace before you lock it behind the lock token at the palace.
Yeah, it's really...
Otherwise you're relying on Eric's ship being clear and using Grow Giant to move it. Which
is not... This is not intuitive.
Yeah.
Not intuitive at all. And you spoke of this Little Mermaid character. I think that's our second biggest problem here. Can we just talk about Ariel for a second? How much I dislike her?
If we have to, sure. I mean, I know we were brought on for this.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
No. So to let you folks know what we're talking about here. So Ariel is obviously a card in Ursula's Fate deck, and what it's meant to do is, let's say you got one of your items out. So you got your trident, or you got your what is it? You got your
crown.
Crown's at the lair. Usually where you want to play it. You play our friend Ariel out. Ariel's like, all right, listen, you know that little that crown you put over there? I'm just gonna move it to my location. So more than likely what's gonna happen is that you got the palace locked, and you got the crown at the lair. Player plays out Ursula, or not Ursula, Ariel, and Ariel's gonna be played at the shore. And then she's going to move the crown all the way to the shore. And not only is she blocking your ability to play a card and discard stuff, she is now just like, hey, guess what? You got to take 2 turns and move that sucker back.
Not even that. You got to defeat me first, and then you can move it back.
Yeah, that's the kicker. That's the Ariel's second ability, where she does not allow any movement of allies or items, which makes it twice as rough. So you have to basically defeat Ariel. And then on top of that, it's not even just Ariel. There's this other little lovely card called Return to Form. Return to Form allows you to play a hero from Ursula's discard pile and put it at Ursula's location.
Except for Triton.
Yeah. That's true. Except for Triton, because it does limit on the strength of the hero. And what happens? Was it who else?
Strength of 4 or less.
Is it 4 or less? Yeah. So it's everybody but Triton. And what can happen is that, so let's say you just defeated Ariel. You are trying to move, let's say, the crown back from the shore to Eric's ship on the next location over. You go over there. Your opponent then's like, oh, guess what? I'm going to go play Return to Form. And I'm going to put Ariel at your location. You gotta murder Ariel again, and you can't move. So you're double locked again after you just murdered Ariel, which sucks. And the worst part is that there are 3 Return to Forms in the Fate deck for Ursula. So it is very common that what will happen, at least I've seen in a lot of games, is that Ursula is very close to achieving her goal, and then all of a sudden Ariel pops out. Ariel gets defeated somehow, and some godforsaken, the lights all align, the planets align, and all of a sudden, then she comes back out through return to form and just keeps wrecking your day. It's pretty difficult to get around Ariel efficiently. I haven't found a good way to do it. I don't know if any of you folks have found any good ways of doing it. Any of you folks have any strategies, tips? Enlighten me.
For me, the biggest part of Ursula's game is aerial prevention. And the biggest way to do that is to move that lock token. The only really effective way I've found of preventing Ariel from completely screwing everything up is playing one of the two items that I need to win to the lair, locking it there while I deal with the other one.
Yeah, I mean, because I think that's the intention of the lock token, is to help make it so you can't interact with the layer space once you put something there. The problem, though, is I think there's only 3 change forms, and in theory, you can't. The only way you could, like, luckily get it is that you play one of the items, so you play the crowns of the lair at the shore, and then you lock it up. So you have to have both those cards in your hand. And this goes back to what I was talking about, the route system. That should not be the only way to ensure that you don't screw yourself over.
There is another way that I've found is, but it relies on where Ariel actually is.
Okay.
So if Ariel has come out early enough, if you can get both cards, so say you could have Triton's the Trident on Triton. You go to Ursula's lair. You use Flotsam and Jetsam's activation to move Trident over and get the Trident. And then you play your player card, you play the Crown. Then Ursula's already come out, and the only way to bring her back is through return to form, which brings... The card has to be played to Ursula's current location.
I got you. Yeah, that's what. And that's one of the other strategies we found.
That's the other way to secure a victory. Otherwise, you're going to need to use that lock token.
I actually really like what our friend Lawyer Man said, because I think one of the issues that I'm having with playing Ursula is that it seems like instead of trying to play where you're trying to play the Crown and the Trident to the lair and try to advance that goal, you're more playing to try to make sure that Ariel doesn't screw your day up, which in theory is kind of somewhat thematic with the movie, but she doesn't really have a lot of tools to do that. The only way, like the only 2 ways you could do it are luck and using the Crown's activate ability. And that's assuming that you have the ability to activate it, because the activation is on top of Ursula's lair. So if the opponent really wants to make you have a sad day, all they got to do is just play their first hero that they reveal on top of the lair, and instantly just becomes almost unattainable at the very start of the game, because more than likely your opponent's going to try to fate you early, or at least at some shape or form. And then, bam, you just lost your ability to do anything, and then you have to plan around trying to defeat that hero to get stuff back to do things. It's a mess. I've been really struggling.
It's a vicious cycle.
Yeah, it's very. Yeah. I don't like it at all. So you folks have any other comments? Any other things that you struggle with, or things that you found?
I mean, when I get a bunch of heroes stacked on my board, I used to, for ridiculous reasons, try to move them all to Eric's ship out of the way so I could always have 2 play cards. But I have found that it's far more helpful to move those heroes to the shore, so that way I can actually do things when I'm at Eric's ship instead of wasting a turn. Yeah. I've noticed that too, because you want to be able to still play a card and gain some money. You know, like still be able to play a card and discard is really important, because that's what at Eric's location, the bottom 2 spaces are fate and discard. And especially with Ursula, you're going to be discarding like crazy, because you're looking for 2 unique items in our 30-card deck. But you also want to be able to go towards your goal, as well as like be able to play something to kind of progress forwards. And if someone plays something at Eric's ship, then you're already screwed. Which sucks. And on top of that, too, the only place that you can gain money if you have the lock token at the palace is technically the shore, because at the top part of Ursula's lair, it's the activate and the 1 power. So it becomes a little more difficult to try to even manage to get power, because there's also this wonderful little card called Snarfblart. And if that sucker gets played on King Triton, then your day is just a sad day. It's just horrible. I despise it.
Yeah, which I think is the advantage of having the palace unlocked is A, you're getting power. B, the fact that it's such a terrible location and you should never really want to go there.
Yeah.
But like the fact that it's so bad makes it a good place to stack. It makes it a good place to stack heroes up. Because that's the other sort of power that Ursula kind of feels like she maybe has, is that she can sort of try and move heroes because she has so many movement options due to her unique vanquishing abilities. She can somewhat easily stack up all the heroes onto the palace, and you don't even need to vanquish them. The risk of that though is keeping all the heroes on your board makes it more likely for you to get a little murlocked.
Yeah, exactly. That's the issue. Runs it into the Scar issue where, like, if you don't kill enough of the stuff, you're gonna get Hakuna Matata to death.
But I mean, also you could get to the point where you manage to get Ariel out before you play any of your items, and then it's much more of a cakewalk because she's the only one who can actively stop you.
Yeah, I know. I've known Aaron and I have played a few games together or I don't know if it was Aaron, but a few other people I've played with in Discord, where what happens is Ariel gets revealed like super early. And then since she gets revealed early, then what I basically do is like, all right, she's out there. I put her somewhere that she's not going to bother me. So like unlock, place her at the palace, lock it up. And then I'm like, all right, I don't need to worry about moving anything anymore. I can just keep her there and not have to worry about it. But that's luck. I don't want to have to, like I said, the whole purpose is that I should be advancing towards my goal. I shouldn't have to be trying to trudge around one card, well, technically 4 cards, to even make my plan work. I think that's the struggle here.
I mean, it sounds like that's a secret strategy, like, tempt your opponent into fading you so that Ariel does get played, and then once it is, okay, I'm scot-free. Is that what we're getting at?
I'm not sure, because maybe that's what we're looking at this all wrong, like all along, is maybe that's what we should be doing, playing around Ariel, but I don't like.
Doesn't seem like that should be how it's played, but I don't know.
Yeah, like her whole deck and her whole Fate deck is all about reacting to stuff rather than actually being proactive in anything.
Right.
Like so many of her cards have to do with moving heroes or playing. You've got your 6 binding contracts, which are only useful if there are heroes to play it on. You have Whirlpool and Poor Unfortunate Souls that have the sole purpose of moving heroes. And, so that's 10 cards already in your 30-card deck.
Right.
That are only worth anything if you've already been fated by the opponent. But by the same token, a lot of the effects are very like, cool, we can stop this very specific thing that you're doing. So Sebastian is kind of unless it catches you with King Triton and he can take the binding contract off of King Triton. And if he already has a Snuffblat on it, it's making you spend 12 power just to get a binding contract that works.
Horrible! Don't ever do that to me. I'll cry.
One of the most recent sort of play tests I've been doing with her, just playing her normally. The Triton or the Crown, I can't remember which, was at the bottom of her deck. I'd drawn every card except for that bottom card, so I knew it was there. And then Flounder came out.
Oh boy, our friend Flounder.
Yeah.
God.
Oh God.
I hate
Flounder. Is
stupid fish. The worst.
Oh. They're all very specific too, because like the thing is, like once you have both the cards out on the table, Flounder becomes worthless. And even like once you've defeated King Triton in some shape or form to get the Triton out, Sebastian becomes worthless. And a lot of the heroes, honestly, besides Ariel, don't really have really good powers, except maybe for Grimsby, depending on your situation. But because like Eric and what is it, Max? Is that the dog's name?
Yeah, that's the dog's.
Is that the dog's name? Okay. But both Eric and Max are just kind of like they're weird. I understand what they do, but like you almost are just like, all right, so what is it? Freaking Ursula's about to go murder this one character, freeing up a spot. I'm just gonna play them at that location just to, I don't care about their ability. I just want to go clog more spots to make her miserable. It's depressing.
I have to disagree that Flounder is completely useless. When I play Ursula, I frequently rely on Opportunist and what's in my discard pile. So when Flounder comes out, that can be very frustrating.
True. I'll give you that one. Well, the thing, at least with my play experience, it seems like because what happens with me is that, so like first turn, your starting hand is 2 binding contracts, a whirlpool, and like an opportunist or something like that. So what you're gonna do, you're gonna probably get rid of those 2 binding contracts, maybe the whirlpool, and then you're gonna probably keep opportunist, and you're gonna get rid of those, and then what's gonna happen is a hero's gonna get played somewhere, and then you're like, oh crap, I should have kept one of those damn binding contracts. And it's just, I don't know. It's just a mess. I just, my brain hurts trying to even think about it.
Or you keep one just in case, and it was the wrong one.
Right.
Because they're tied to a location.
Exactly. And it's like, oh, I have the shore contract. They play someone on the shore, and you're like, well, shit. It's like, what are you supposed to do? It's like, it's frustrating. What I love about this game is that even like today, right before I play this game, or not play this game, do this show, I was playing a game with a group of people, and I was like, I'm feeling Yzma. I can instantly just pick up any of these characters at this point, and I feel pretty comfortable with how they're supposed to work, and I'm not getting to a point where I'm getting frustrated playing a character because I don't necessarily know how they're supposed to work. Every time that I have played Ursula, almost every single time, I run into a point where I'm just frustrated playing her, because you either get to a situation, and Aaron can attest to this, where you are basically fading each other back to the force to no end and no one's getting anywhere. Or you, even the way that you win, because one of the other things that people talk about is that Ursula's fate spam. Because the way that this works is that, so you could go to the shore and you play Grow Giant, and Grow Giant allows you to take an action at adjacent location. So what you can do is essentially fate almost every turn, if possible, because all you got to do is play Grow Giant, fate at either Eric's ship or the palace if the fate action is open, and then you just keep fading constantly at almost every location possible. You can even do it at Ursula's lair, play the Grow Giant, and then do the fate spam from there.
You can even play
seems like it's built
to do that on the shore. You can actually, I started off a game once by playing 2 Grow Giants at the shore to fate my opponent twice on the same turn.
Yeah. It seems like she's built around doing that too, which is the issue, because even her one condition card, which is similar to Jafar's, is the fact that, oh, if a player's been gaining power, you just go ahead and fade him. It just seems like her whole defense, instead of like trying to use defense to like get rid of like her heroes and stuff like that around the board, it's more of like, let me slow down my opponent to the point of not be able to play the game, which is rough. That's not fun. At least to me. I don't know about you folks. I don't know if you folks find that fun.
Makes me cry.
Yeah, I don't blame you. It makes me cry too. What was it? Aaron and I were playing a game a few days ago where I was playing Ursula and she decided to play Scar because she is not familiar with Scar as I am. So she's like, we'll test this out to see how this goes. I think we were almost at it for an hour.
Slow villain. Yeah.
Yeah, we were almost at it for an hour, and we had to cut it short because I had to go record our previous show, and I was just like, I can't take this anymore. It was painful.
Almost flipped the table a couple of times.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. I think I did flip the table at some point. It was rough. I know our other friend co-host, Headmaster Ditto, him and I had done a very similar match. I think, what was it? He was playing Ursula and I was playing Scar, and the same thing happened. We did finish the game, but it did take like an hour, and I was just getting frustrated towards the end because all Ursula has to do, if you keep fading her, just spam the board
I can't hear anyone.
as much as possible, and then you're just not having fun. That's all she has to do, and then she could slowly make it to the point where she can win. It sucks. I hate it. But anyway, I think that's enough talk on the strategy and our, we're sitting here just shouting our grievances at this point. I think we can all agree on this. I think it's time that we talk about the changes that we've been thinking and brewing in our brains for possibly trying to change Ursula. So what we've been trying to think of in our Discord is we don't want to do anything super drastic. I think one of the things we want to try to do is do something that's very easy to like add to the game or change something slightly to where it's not just trying to kill us. We've had lots of different thoughts. I think Lawyer Man is the only one of the four of us that's actually truly tested any of this stuff out. Am I not correct?
Yeah, I've tested a couple of changes.
Well, tell us about one of your changes, friend.
So the first change is probably the most obvious. It's adding a play card action to the bottom of the palace. And that has proven to be, well, I haven't gotten to play test it as much as I would have liked, and so I haven't actually seen Ursula win yet.
That's great.
But what it has done is it's actually made Ursula feel not annoying to play.
Really? Like how so?
That's a leap forward.
Yeah, that's a step.
Right. And the way it does that is you don't feel like you're wasting entire however many turns you spend with the lock at the layer because you're actually moving forward by being able to play a card on every turn.
And you're putting the play card at the bottom, correct? You're not putting that at the top?
Correct. It looks more so that way it looks like Radigan's Buckingham Palace.
Yeah. I was after playing so I've been playing a lot of Perfectly Wretched. Sorry all of you. And I've noticed with Cruella, because Cruella kind of suffers a little bit from she goes in a lot of dips. So she'll have a really powerful turn and then dip a little bit, and then a powerful turn and then dip a little bit. But she also kind of gets into a place where she gets a lot of heroes on the board. She kind of gets stuck. But I will tell you up front, having a location with 3 things on it that you can do, even if there's a hero there, is amazing. It's incredible that just by adding a third thing to it, especially if it's play a card, it's wonders what it does. Seriously.
I have a theory about this. And I'm sorry if I'm talking too much, but
no,
I have a feeling Prospero Hall may get a lot of comments about Ursula being too hard. And so they keep designing games and they keep designing, new expansions. And you see a Radigan board or a Cruella board and you go, why does he have 5 actions at Buckingham Palace? Why does Cruella have 5 actions at whatchamacallit? And I wonder if they're like sort of saying, okay, if you want to fix Ursula, that's a way to go. Go ahead and take a sticker and play a card down there.
Yeah, I think, honestly, that would be one of the biggest changes to Ursula that is easy to do, is you can basically just, because I forget what game I had. I had a game a while ago where there was a misprint on the board, and what they did was they basically, if you emailed the company and even it was just a sticker. So they're just willing to send these stickers willy-nilly. You basically could just take the sticker and overwrite the space on the board to put the new, I believe it was like an action you can take. So it would, be the appropriate action. And honestly, the easiest thing to do with Ursula is you get a sticker that fits essentially the bottom half of the board. You stick it on there and it's got the 3 actions on it. Simple. Really easy to do.
It would almost solve a lot of her problems, I feel. Secret Lawyer Man has tested a little bit, and even if she's more fun, I'll take that, even if she still doesn't win very often.
Yeah, I prefer more fun. Even if she doesn't win very often, I prefer to actually play someone that I'm enjoying to play rather than feel suffering. Because I know...
Yeah.
One of the big things is that, because I know, Madness, you've said this, is play the lock token almost seems kind of... I know our friend Lawyer Man has spoke of the otherwise, but the thing with the lock token is you don't feel like there's any point of actually moving to the palace when it's unlocked. There's just no...
Yeah. The only sort of issue with adding a player card to the palace is very much for thematic reasons. All of her powers and her that come from playing cards, like grow giant and stuff, are very focused on things that she does while she is a sea witch. And so they're going, oh, this is representing, when you're in your human form, you're not necessarily doing all these big, you're not necessarily growing giant at the palace. That feels a bit weird and stuff.
Yeah.
But like I could definitely, so like the other solution that I sort of how I would design her board, like based on how it is. The main changes are at Ursa's lair. It's like Prince John's prison, where there are 3 lower actions and then no top actions.
And then what would the 3 actions on the bottom be?
Those 3 actions would be gain power, play a card, and activate.
You want to put a move there?
Then
that
Eric,
would get rid of the move.
Yeah, hang on. Yes, yeah, cool. Okay. Then on Eric's ship, there is up the top. There is the same 1 power and the card. And then down the bottom, there is a fate and a move.
Okay.
Right.
And then for the palace, you have up the top the 2 power and the fate. And then down the bottom, you have move a hero and discard.
Why would you do it like that? I'm curious.
Okay, so the discard down the bottom. Oh, I mean that could also be up the top, but you want to have a discard down the bottom for each character.
Yeah, you need that, especially for Ursula.
Yeah, especially for Ursula. But that gives the palace more agency by that being your bottom discard spot. So, I suddenly have a really good reason to go to the palace. Is to actually, that's the best spot to dig cards while I don't have them.
Okay.
But also not giving you the power to play a card there sort of keeps in line of I think what they were trying to do with her in not giving her a play card action there.
Okay.
But then also sort of the fact that the move action is at one of the central locations means that you only actually have to have 1 move a card action rather than having 1 at each.
Yeah, because you have a good point, because in theory Jafar only has 1 move action, but he has ways to continuously move the lamp after he gets the plate out, because he has Iago, and Iago's only 1 card. I mean, like, that's the only other way he can really move. Now, granted, unless he wants to get sneaky and someone plays the lamp onto like Aladdin or Abu, and then he does Sorcerer's Power. But still, I see your thought process.
I think the 2 move item ally, that those actions are kind of essential when you finally kill Ariel and you need to get the whatever she stole over 2 spaces relatively quickly. Because even if it's on the bottom, you would still have to go somewhere else and then come back to that bottom move action.
Yeah, well, you kind of have to do that anyway because they're both one of them's going to be locked as it currently is.
You can use Grow Giant to get the one at the palace.
Yeah, and so the one being at Eric's ship means that you can still use Grow Giant and use the one at Eric's ship.
Huh.
That doesn't necessarily change. So that doesn't actually change how often really you can do it. It just and then the whole thing with Ursula's Lair having 3 actions and no top action. It doesn't make it too strong, but it makes it a nice place to actually stack heroes, which and kind of makes thematic sense in the fact that, you know, you're wanting to bring heroes to your lair so she can make Ariel sign her contract and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
I like that.
I see
that
the
makes a lot of
thematic
sense.
reasoning.
Yeah.
I don't like changing the board so drastically, but that's a way to go.
Yeah. And the thing too is like, I mean, I don't think you need to change it that drastically, but I see how those changes could be beneficial. Because honestly, my biggest change that I would do personally is make it so you put the activate at the bottom of Ursula's lair and you switch it with like the play card, maybe, or no, not the play card. It's the powers already at the top. Damn it. Well, you gotta put the activate at the bottom of Ursula's lair. That's what you gotta do. And then what you would do is that both Ursula's lair and the palace have 5 actions. So then and I don't know what those would be, but it would help balance it out where both of those locations, you know, you are always going to have location locked. So it's not like where Radigan's got like his 5 location space and then a 3 location space, so it kind of balances itself out. And then Cruella is kind of like I said, the very swingy type of character where she needs those extra actions to kind of keep moving forward. You know, Ursula needs to be able to take extra actions to be able to keep doing stuff, because there's just a point where you get stuck because you don't have the power. You don't have the ability to play a card. Go for it.
The reasoning is she's so reactionary. You can't pre-play your binding contracts. You can't pre-move your heroes. You know, she should have more actions available because she is reactionary.
Yeah, I very much agree with that. In a way, she's very defensive. Like she needs that stuff out, because a lot of example with Prince John. A lot of Prince John, what I say he makes him a defense master, is a lot of his cards relate to the defense of his board state. So, like, you got, like, Intimidation, you got Beautiful Lovely Taxes, you got Set a Trap, and all those cards are meant to be able to help change his board state so he can kind of keep moving and try to get rid of, like, heroes and stuff in a more costly, efficient manner. That's it. But those don't, like, make up, like, you can still move towards your goal, because Prince John's whole thing is, I'm going to make money. I just got to move to a location and get some power, and then there you go. I don't have to do anything stupid crazy to gain money. You know? Ursula has to work.
Yeah, I mean, I've just got the deck in front of me, and I've been sorting through it going, you know, which ones are solely reactionary and stuff. And so, yeah, you've got the 10 cards that I mentioned before that can only be used if there is a hero out.
Even Flotsam and Jetsam, do you count those in that 10 cards?
Yeah, hang on. And then I've got 5 cards being Flotsam, Jetsam, and the 2 divinations, which, yes, you can technically play. And, you know, maybe divination less so, because it lets you dig through, and then you can opportunist the trident and crown back. So, sure, maybe half those. But mostly what those 5 cards do is just let you interact with heroes, or get the cards to then interact with the heroes. You know, they also don't really help you towards any goal unless there are heroes out.
This is rough.
So that's like that's 15 cards. That's half her deck is focused on there being heroes out. Which, for being a character unlike Scar or Hook, who she doesn't actually actively fetch or she doesn't actually have to actively go through a deck and bring out heroes.
The Trident immediately summons King Triton, so it's like you're not even like, as soon as you get the card, you're bringing him out, and like you have to play it anyways to even get it out on the board. So it doesn't really make any. You know, you're not really trying to set your board state up to try to defeat heroes, you know?
Yeah. And then and so comparing that to Jafar, you know, Jafar, yes, he's waiting until he can get the right card to unlock his location, and then he's waiting to get the magic lamp and, you know, and stuff. But while he's doing so, he has allies he can play that can actively do stuff. He has, you know, Gazim and Iago particularly, that he can play to deal with stuff. He's playing stuff out so he can play unnecessary sacrifice, because his thing is he struggles with power. He's only got 3 power spots on his board. Like this, you're doing stuff with Jafar while you are doing your search. Whereas with Ursula, you're just digging, and there's nothing really else for you to do until someone fates you, and then that's devastating, and you have to focus on dealing with that. Sleep. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. What is it? Secret Lawyer Man, did you have another suggestion? I'm sorry we just went on all these other topics. I want to hear your other suggestion and see if you actually worked with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically what we've already talked about, is moving that activate down to the bottom of Ursula's lair. I don't know how I feel between making it like Prince John's board or making it another 5 action space. The way I did it, I turned it into a space kind of like Mother Gothel's, where you have the gain of power on top and the play, activate, and move item or ally on the bottom.
I like that a lot more. I honestly completely forgot that was a thing that they did. So thank you for mentioning that.
Someone who's already got perfectly wretched.
I know. I'm just like, wait a second. Yeah, that's how they built that whole character. Yeah, I was like, shit. I really like that idea. Have you actually worked with it at all? Has it worked out for you?
The last time I played with that modification, the layer wasn't really used. The game ended before it could. Really
it was a sad day. That's what it was.
Yeah,
I got you. Yeah. Did you hear? I guess my question is, with the changes you made, did you at least have more fun playing with her?
Yeah, I did. That's the thing. Adding that play card to the palace made the game fun.
Yeah, and you were enjoying yourself, and you didn't feel like you're just getting screwed over half the time.
Right, because the thing that makes Ursula not fun is when you have to waste a turn.
Yeah,
and adding that play card to the palace completely solves that problem.
Wow.
Yeah, and because that happens for all characters. You can waste a turn and be blocked up, but it happens too easily for Ursula. Like, if you have a couple of heroes on the 2 center spots, which, to be fair, are the 2 spots you want to put them, because those are the ones where Ursula will always have access to. So people fating you will want to put the heroes on the 2 center spots.
Right.
More often than not. If you've got the palace unlocked, then that means you only have a 1-player card available at any time.
Yeah, which is really rough. It's like super rough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you've got all these reactionary cards, but you don't have the means to play them.
Yeah. I've had plenty of turns where I've literally had like a few binding contracts and a few, like, it was like 2 binding contracts, a whirlpool, and Poor Unfortunate Souls. And I was just like, well, I can't do anything. And I was on Eric's ship, and I'm like, I'm just gonna go get more money. So I'm gonna go move to the shore and just get 3 more power. I really just want to make Ursula work. I have this thing in my heart as someone who has always played low tiers in fighting games. It's just something that's happened. It was Aghanos and Killer Instinct. Right now for me in Dragon Ball FighterZ, it's Jiren. I want to get the low tiers and bring them up a notch, but I don't even think Ursula is low tier. I think she's just not built correctly with the way the game is shaped up.
Yeah.
Here's another part to my theory, like how Prosper Hall has changed what they would have made. Like, take Yzma.
Right.
It could have had 2 or 3 on the runs, like Return to Form, but it only has 1 on the run to, shuffle up a hero that's on the board. It's almost like they see what Ursula became, and they're like, okay, we got to make sure never to make another villain like this. Yeah. Or like a cruel irony for Yzma lets her take an effect from her discard pile and immediately play it. It sounds a lot like Opportunist, but better.
Well, it's better. It's better for Yzma because she can actually use it immediately.
Exactly. So, like, a cruel irony started out like an Opportunist card, but they made it one better, probably because of all the Ursula hate mail, maybe.
Yeah. And it's weird for me too, because like, so Ursula's part of the base game, And one of the things I really struggle with, like when I'm trying to tell people to get into the game right now, is that I don't normally play with 6 people, but like I usually like when my normal gaming group of friends come over, we have like 5 of us that play together, and what I tell people is if you're playing a 5 or 6 player game, you're having some drinks, you're having a social while you're playing the game. It's just a fun time. You're not trying to. Someone's playing to win, but you're not really playing to win, if that makes sense. But if you're still trying to teach the game for the first time, if you just buy the base game and you have 5 or 6 people, I guarantee you one of those people want to play Ursula, and Ursula is the absolute worst character to give someone to play for the first time, unless they've really have like played all sorts of tabletop games before. It's still just I can't recommend. I tell people if you're going to get in the game, just go ahead and buy one of the expansions with it, because if you're going to play a 6-player game, I'd rather someone play freaking Dr. Vasilier over Ursula, and Dr. Vasilier I would say is not meant for someone to play first time, or even Scar. And just I'm getting into the vomit levels I was talking about earlier.
Yeah, I mean, you got this sort of problem where, because all of her stuff is reactionary, or so much of her stuff is reactionary, and because it's so easy to clog up her machine and sort of give these devastating hits. It just sort of paints a sour picture of the game. And particularly when you're sitting there in a 5 or 6 player game and you see everyone else and they're doing all this stuff and it's so cool, and whereas you're just sort of trying to stay afloat, you're gonna get the idea that this isn't a great game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can actually speak from experience. One of my friends, he actually played in a group. Actually, 2 separate friends. One of them was playing a 3-player game, and their fiance wanted to play Ursula because guess what? Their favorite Disney villain was Ursula.
Exactly.
And guess what happened? First time playing the game, Ursula is completely different than probably any other character in this entire game, and they get frustrated, and then they don't want to play the game ever again. I don't want people's first experience with this game to be that sour. It was actually the same thing with my friend where someone was playing Ursula, and they're a group of players, and the player had realized what they can do with Ursula's fate spam. And like first time everyone's playing the game, there's this player that's literally just going in at somebody, and just like every turn is making someone unhappy. Because I've mentioned this on the Discord that like sure in a 2-player game you might get the fate heavy pretty hard because you're both aggressively trying to get there, but you should not be fating every turn. Or at least even with Ursula you can fate twice a turn. It's not fun. I don't think it's good for the game. But yeah, I think we spoke a lot about Ursula, don't you guys think?
Yeah.
And I think my brain's fried on talk about our favorite sea witch.
Yeah, and like we were talking about like trying to do little tweaks to fix it, but every time I try and go and do that, I just go right. Well, this could do with changing, and this could do with changing, and the whole thing could do with change. And I'm just, I just always get into it like, let's completely redo her.
Yeah.
But we have to start where we started the podcast. We do like Ursula. We like the mechanic.
Right.
The lock is thematic.
Yeah.
So we have to always go back to.
I mean, I actually don't think the lock is very thematic, but
okay.
I do think the lock is slightly thematic, and you've actually kind of proven to me more that like when you go to the palace, it makes sense that if she's in her human form, she shouldn't be doing any of her witch magic stuff. But like at the same time, it's just like, I want every character in this game to be fun. They don't necessarily need to be as powerful as Evil Queen. They don't need to be that strong, but we can still make the game fun for everybody else. Like all these other characters. And because even Evil Queen is fun. I mean, I can sit here and complain about how powerful Evil Queen is all day, but let me tell you, she is fun as hell to play. Incredibly fun. I want Ursula to also be just as fun.
Yeah.
It's rough.
I think Secret Lawyer Man found it. I mean, at least he's done the testing, and a simple fix, just play a card at the palace.
Yes. Thank you, lawyer friend. I appreciate what you've done. You've done the due diligence of actually doing the changes and actually wanting to play this character.
And it's just crazy because, like, in the film, Ursula wins.
And it's true.
Like, she actually wins.
A little bit.
And then there's like a 2-minute sequence where she gets killed, and it's it's probably the most bullshit part of BS part of the film is okay, yeah, sure, yeah, okay, cool, but like she actually wins, and that doesn't happen in this game.
No. It's rough. All right, friends. I think we're going to call it on that one. Thank you so much for trudging through, as Aaron said, with the seaweed with me. I appreciate you, your folks' feedback. I actually really like the fact we got very different perspectives on this. I enjoy the fact we all can have different opinions, and we're not trying to kill each other over it, as well as we actually had some really good observations and stuff. So thank you all.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you. Well, folks, that's going to be it. The one last thing I'm going to say, and I think we all four of us can agree on this, is that, hey, Prospero, we know you're listening to the show. If you have any thoughts or feelings about Ursula and would like to talk to us about it in a strategic way so we can actually play her better, let us know. We obviously are clearly missing something when you folks were designing this character. And if you folks are open to changes, we talked about it today, so we are more than willing to maybe see if we can help maybe make it so Ursula can be played more often, just like over time. Because I think that's the thing, is that I would like to make it so, over time, I'm not in a situation where right now we have, well, for me, 15 characters. For some of you folks, you have 12. But I don't want to make it so the roster is 14 characters. I want it so it could be 15 characters. Yeah. I want to be able to give all 15 characters to all my friends that come over and play and actually have a fun time. I think that's the biggest thing. I think we all agree on that, right?
Oh yeah, ditto.
Which, if you read my blog, that's what I'm currently doing. I'm pretending that Ursula doesn't exist.
Oh, so sad.
Yeah.
Sad face.
Yeah, it is. It is.
All right.
Anyway,
any last words, folks?
Thanks. Thanks for putting up with us, poor unfortunate souls.
You're welcome.
Cute.
Oh.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, you're very welcome. All right. Well, folks, that's going to end the show. And I don't know what we're going to do next time. I've really been enjoying doing these random topics and such, but we'll probably have another different ensemble cast next time we do the show. So until then, stay wicked, and we'll see you folks on the next show.